Hey there! I thought what we would do today is talk about something based on a comment about myself that I saw on Reddit, and that comment made my day. And I'm not being sarcastic, I really mean that. So I'm just going to this Reddit thread. I don't find myself on Reddit an awful lot, but once in a while I Google myself on Reddit, because in the past some not super nice things have been said about me, and once in a while I just like to keep tabs on seeing that nothing is said that is really truly offensive, and I would have to do something, which I've never had to do, but maybe it's a bit paranoid. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Once in a while, like once a year or something, I do that. And someone posted my video there, which I did fairly recently, on devaluing inexpensive pens, and I really appreciated this comment. There was a person there who said, "Thank you. Who is this rather strange fellow?" And someone responds and says, "He is the OG of YouTube fountain pen reviews. He's been around for at least 14 years. And then the original person said, "Thank you. I meant no disrespect. He's just rather, quote unquote, eccentric." And that made me very happy, because I guess I am eccentric. I mean, I do YouTube reviews on fountain pens, but I think in everyday life I'm a bit eccentric too. Right now I'm wearing my favorite robe. This is a very nice, it's velvet. It's like a dinner jacket, but long. It has a pocket square too, you see. That's not the type of robe that a lot of people would choose to wear, but I did. So it made me think about what makes me eccentric and why am I that way, and to an extent pen reviews come into this as well. So I know this video is not going to be for everyone, but I thought I would do it anyway. My first recollection of a truly eccentric person was a teacher I had in high school. So it goes back to that teacher, and he taught philosophy of life in my first year in high school. I was 12 years old, and Alfred van Wijk, fantastic teacher that I enjoyed a lot. And he was eccentric because he wore colored lenses in his glasses. He had a pair with pink lenses, a pair with, I'm pretty sure, yellow lenses. I seem to recall green lenses, maybe blue. Not a lot of people would do that. This would be inside, in the classroom. He'd be wearing these glasses, and again, he taught philosophy of life, so it was a bit sort of world religions, and it's also how do you approach life, that sort of stuff. And I found him absolutely fascinating. My first year in high school was a bit difficult. It was difficult for me to make that adjustment, and all kinds of reasons I don't have to get into now, but I mean, it was a bit tough. And I liked him. And I felt that he kind of looked out for me and kind of had my back in class, which was really nice. But what I was mainly fascinated by was that he was comfortable with being weird. Not in an inappropriate way, not at all. He was just very comfortable with being different from other people. And at some point, that came up in a class, because a lot of the other students, they kind of poked fun at him, and they joked behind his back about him. And at some point this kind of came up in one of his own classes, and I forget the exact context, but to this day I remember what was said. One of the students asked him if he would sing a song, right, just in front of the classroom. And he said, "Oh, absolutely." And he started to sing. He wasn't a particularly good singer, but I mean, he sang. And then he asked her, he turned the question back, and he said, "But would you? Would you do that right here, right now, in front of everyone else?" And she said, "No." And then he said, "Yeah, but you see, I did. And that's because I am not afraid of being embarrassed. I don't care." And that, I don't want to turn this into something bigger than it was, but for me, it really was an important moment, because it it taught me that you don't have to always worry about the response of other people. Now, I was 12 years old at the time. I was afraid of the response of other people. I would never have sung a song in front of class. I wouldn't have done that. But the foundation was laid. Because that remark has always stood with me. Are you nervous to make a fool of yourself? Are you nervous about what other people think about you? And it wasn't until many years later, when I started to get really into Stoicism, that I realized that that is one of the founding principles of Stoicism. You can't be afraid of what other people think of you, because what other people think of you is not within your control, within certain parameters. If you act inappropriately in public, then people will have specific feelings about you, and you have done that yourself. With your strange actions, inappropriate actions, you have made people think something about you. But if you go about your everyday life, you do things the best way you can, who really cares what other people think about you? And that, to me, that really was a turning point realization. It was so beautifully vocalized in Stoicism. You cannot care. Epictetus is very clear about this. You cannot care about what other people think about you because you won't have a life. I'm definitely paraphrasing here, but that's what it comes down to. If you make your happiness contingent upon what others think about you, you will never be happy, because you can't control what they think about you, really. So I am eccentric. I know I am, but I also like being eccentric. And what I find disturbing, or at least, maybe disturbing is too strong a word, but what I find sad is that we encourage kids from a fairly young age to fit the mold. We encourage them to act this way, be quiet, don't raise your voice. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing necessarily, but I mean, do this. Don't stand out. Whatever you do, don't stand out in the crowd. You don't want to stand out in the crowd. Just be calm. Wear these clothes. You cannot wear the T-Rex outfit to school. It's not appropriate. Cannot be done. But by doing that, I feel that we rob people of something, because we encourage them to be afraid of being different, afraid of standing out. I think that's a problem. I think people should not be afraid to stand out. Now, I just want to emphasize, I'm not talking about you should do incredibly inappropriate things in public and then you stand out. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about normal everyday things. So I'll give you one example, and then I'll bring this back to fountain pens and fountain pen reviews. Okay, because I promise you I'm going somewhere. At work, I wear suits. When I got tenure, I thought I should probably act like an adult now and wear suits. So I wear suits. Now, at the end of the last term, and I started to experiment. I started to wear a bow tie. I got a bow tie and I wore it, like a self-tie bow tie. And the comments to that were overwhelmingly positive. And I can see people, whether it's students, colleagues, administrators, whatever, I can see them kind of smiling when I walk by. And now, at the start of this term, I have fully adopted, I've gone gung-ho, I fully adopted the bow tie. I only wear bow ties. I don't wear really long neckties anymore, I wear bow ties. This is not an incredibly rebellious act, but not everyone has the courage to wear a bow tie. It's considered a bit more eccentric, it's considered a bit, like, it's a little different. And this is not said in arrogance. All I'm trying to say is, I wanted to do something that was a little different. And in my institution, there aren't a whole lot of people. I'm not unique, but there aren't a whole lot of people who wear bow ties. It's another act of being eccentric. And here's why I find this so important. And here's why I was kind of happy when I read that comment on Reddit. And for the record, I was really happy with it. So please don't go there and like make unpleasant remarks. It's totally unnecessary and uncalled for. It was a very respectful comment. It's important because you need to be able to tackle life head on. You have to be able to look at life for what it is. It's short, it's strange, it's most peculiar, and it's weird. And you can't take things too seriously, and this is where the pens come in. Long before I got into Stoicism, I read the Hagakure. This is let's say a manual for samurai, how to act as a samurai. All the little small bits of text. And one of the interesting bits in that book I've always found fascinating was this. Among the maxims on Lord Nausicaa's wall, there was this one. Matters of great concern should be treated lightly. Master Ite commented, matters of small concern should be treated seriously. Now here's the thing. When it comes to fountain pen videos, I do weird things. I have very regularly, by various people all over the world, been described as quirky. They have done this either in comments or in emails to me or even in person, face to face. They've told me this. You are quirky, and that's what I like. And for some people, they don't like that. They hate it. That's okay. Not everybody has a sense of humor. I'm joking. I fully get it. It's not for everyone. But you have to be sincere in what you do. You have to be able to treat matters of great concern lightly. Fountain pens in reviews are treated by a lot of people, and this is not a dig at anyone, but treated by a lot of people as if they're the most serious thing in the world. But they're not. A $3,000 pen is a grotesque phenomenon. But it exists, and I've reviewed some expensive pens. Only when you can take something of seemingly great concern lightly, I think you're doing that thing justice. And likewise, sometimes there are matters of small concern that must be taken seriously. And everything you do, that's how I interpret that, everything you do, even the smallest thing, you have to give it your full effort. You can't half-ass anything. Maybe three-quarter-ass something once in a while. These are the words of my friend Philip. I thought it was a brilliant expression. But you have to full-ass it. As often as you can. With everything you do. If you're going to review fountain pens, you have to commit to reviewing fountain pens. But you have to do it in a way that is unique to you. You can't copy what someone else is doing. You can't not infuse those videos with your personality, your style, your quirks, your eccentricity. Because then you're not sincere. And I want to be sincere. And if that means wearing a robe like this, so be it. But this is what I do. And this is not a costume, like I actually wear this. Like this is my robe. If that means wearing a bow tie, wear a bow tie. If that means using pink ink in a setting where everybody else uses blue ink, then use pink ink. But for once in your life, do something that's weird. And a lot of people don't. And I find that a very sad state of affairs. Now, there are a lot of things I will never do. I will not go bungee jumping. It's not my thing. I won't. I will not put a tarantula on my head. Sorry, it's not my thing. Okay, so I mean, like there are limits, but stay true to yourself. I have no trouble wearing a smoking jacket and a bow tie to one of my end of the year goat videos, because I think that's funny. To me, that's funny because it kind of makes fun at what is my ultimate video of the year. Everything culminates in that one video, but then you show that you don't take it too seriously. You can't. Again, life is too strange. It's too weird. You can't take it seriously. And something like a fountain pen review cannot be taken seriously in my mind. Yes, you present information as objectively as you can. You present the information that you think people will need. Yes, you're honest about the pen. Maybe this is good, this is not so good. But I can't do it in a dead serious sense. And that's why there are bad puns and dad jokes in the videos. Because that's my personality. And in my everyday life, I'm like that too. When I'm in meetings, I'm like that too. When I'm teaching, I'm like that too. Because to me, that works. And all that started with that one teacher I had who showed me that you can be your own person. You don't have to care what other people think. Again, within certain parameters, there are some things in society you shouldn't do because people will judge you, and rightly they should. But I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about little things. So do something weird. You've always had black cars, buy a red one. Just for once, break the mold. Do something that's different. And I think there's a really good chance you will enjoy that. Because now you're sincere. And now you are doing what fits you. And it may not be, like maybe it's impossible for you. I'm just using the car as a kind of silly example. Maybe it's just not possible for you to have anything but a black car. Okay, then that's you. And then you're being sincere in doing that. But is there anything in your life where you can get away with being a bit eccentric? And can you manage to not care about what other people think? It's very difficult. And it's taken me a long time, especially when it comes to dealing with criticisms or let's say YouTube comments. You know how bad I've been at handling that in the past. But at some point, it clicked. And I think that will be the topic of another video I'll do in the somewhat near future. Well, hope that was useful. Are you eccentric? How are you eccentric? Let me know in the comments below, because I would find that very interesting to read. Do you think I'm eccentric, or do you think I'm like this is completely normal? That's another good question. Maybe I dread the answer to that a bit. No, I don't actually. No, I think it will be fun. Go ahead, have fun. Do something weird today. Hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye.